Okay, I've heard y'all out. And like I said, I'm going to talk about Johnny Depp. And we're going to talk about, the negative things that he brought to the table. And we're going to introduce him as the character of Ahab. Because a lot of people were upset that I called Amber Heard Jezebel. And I disagreed with the fact that, listen, she still did what she did. She's still been a narcissist. She's still being crazy. And she's still been a domestic violencer regardless, for starters. So I'm not taking any of that back. But I acknowledge what some of you said, which is that, he's not an angel and he's involved in a lot of evil and evil things in the world as well. And I was like, do you know what? Let's address that, because A, I want us to be fair, but B, it actually highlights something that is the real reason why I think the entertainment industry is the way that it is and why it destroys people. So we're going to be talking about that today in this video. So if you do enjoy the video, please subscribe. I would love to have you here. I would love to see you around. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, because this video is being made largely because of the comments. And also don't forget to like the video. Now, if you don't know who Ahab is and you're like, who is Ahab? You can read about Ahab in the Bible. Ahab was the husband of Jezebel. They got together. They were both involved in evil things, and evil things happened as a result. Even more evil things happened as a result. But Jezebel was the one who's a bit more, she was a bit more wild with it. Like, she was all killing people just because they didn't do what she wanted for her hubby. And so she was a bit crazy in that end. And that's where I kind of feel like they actually fit the Johnny Depp and the whatchamacallums, the Amber Heard dynamic, because it's kind of like they're both kind of involved in stuff, which we're going to talk about. Johnny's evil affiliations, his satanic affiliations. But then she's also the one who just is out here doing much more outward wildly behavior. So we're gonna talk about it because I think it's important to talk about. So I got my notes here. So first thing that I wanted to talk about as far as Johnny Depp, and we're going to go on a journey here, guys. So I really highly recommend that you watch the video all the way through, because I'm going to talk about how, mental health plays a factor, how Johnny Depp sees himself, because he's clearly not okay. He doesn't even watch his own movies and stuff. And I really want to get to the crux of these Hollyweird relationships, what it really represents, what it really tells us about that industry. So he's part of a band called the Hollywood Vampires, which I actually take literally, because as you guys know, as I say to you, that people are out here doing crazy things. We already know that they're killing children in underground facilities to drink children's blood and stuff. We talked about that in all the adrenochrome videos, so please go and check that out. I'm talking about what they do with the children. So wouldn't put past them to actually be doing this, to actually be the Hollywood Vampires. But interestingly enough, in this band, which Johnny Depp is currently a part of, also interestingly, Johnny Depp was more interested in music to start out with than even acting or whatever, which he's so good at acting, which we're going to talk about why he's so good at acting actually in a little bit. He's in that band with Alice Cooper, who's the Aerosmith, who is with Alice Cooper, Aerosmith guitarist Joe Perry, and Guns N' Roses vets. Oh my gosh, why can't I read my own handwriting? Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum. Why am I struggling so much to be able to say these things? Now let me talk about these people individually, because that's where it gets even more interesting. Alice Cooper is known to be for simulating, sexual acts with babies and killing of them on stage. So that's already showing that there is a serious level of evil going on. And oh, funny that I mentioned adrenochrome and killing children, because in 1998 comedy Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Johnny and somebody else in the film actually talk about they actually take this adrenochrome then and there, which we know they get adrenochrome from oxidized blood from children. That's the only way they can get it. That's how they get it, right? So just to put that in there. So that's another kind of satanic claim to say, and I just want to also add, while I'm saying all of this, that I'm not taking away from the fact that Amber did what she did, and she still needs to be held accountable, because she still did what she did. And I still believe that her situation represents what a lot of people go through. Now, a lot of people are not doing what these kinds of people are doing behind closed doors, but that's a story that we talk about in my other videos, so check those out. But I just want to clarify that. I want to clarify that because it's important. as well, to acknowledge that. And I know a lot of people, even people in comments on one of my other videos, talking about how they experienced similar things to Johnny Depp. So, you know, seeing him speak up about it, especially as a man, was really helpful for people. So I think that's important to also discuss about as well. Now, Johnny has obviously been in has been addicted. He's had addictive substances, you know, has all these addictions. He actually ended up being sued by one of his ex-bodyguards for unpaid wages and unsafe work environments. Overall, he seems like a bit of a mess, you know. And one thing that he spoke about, which I said I was going to come back to, is the fact that he said this, and I've written this down verbatim: the last thing I want to look like is myself. I always felt it was important to escape. So and he refuses to watch his own movies. Now, I actually think it's really interesting, because for a few reasons that I'm going to highlight, and this is what it would tell us about Hollyweird, right? He doesn't like to see himself. And I believe that's why he's so good at acting, because he's literally he's so good at trying to be anything but him, that's why he's brilliant. And a lot of people, a lot of creatives will tell you that a lot of the best creations come from places of pain, from serious pain, and people finding the way to express themselves. That might be why you like certain artists, because their album just relates to where you're at in life or what you've been through, etc., etc., right? That's why you find even a lot of people, like, let's say, for example, a good example is like if you've got people that came up from the hood, and they supported people when they were in the hood as well, but then when that person is no longer living the hood life, no longer rapping about hood life or singing about hood life or whatever, now they're making lots of money, now they're well off, now they're talking about how they got chains and this and that, they might not be as relatable to their audience anymore. Even if the audience maybe initially likes to hear about that, at a certain point it's not like they got chains and stuff, you know. So the relatability and things like that, that's just an example. That's just an example. So a lot of people make things from a place of hurt and do the best artwork from a places of hurt, and that's what actually concerns me when I see people who are really great at something. Sometimes I'm like, I hope you're okay behind closed doors, like. And that's what we're seeing with Johnny, because as I've said to you guys before, I think he's super talented. I think he's absolutely super talented. I think he really does meld to change into these different players well. And the reason why it's important for me to mention this is for one reason. This is the result of Hollyweird. Hollyweird is here as a facility for the kingdom of darkness to destroy humanity. So it destroys the people in the industry itself, number one, through Johnny, and through how the artists are treated, the things that they end up having to do or say or be or become, because they're not dealing with their real life issues. Like, Johnny's not, he might have money, he might have whatever, that he's not dealing with his real life internal issues, he's just trying to escape them. And then he's blowing all his money, like, basically coping. And that's why so many of them, you see them drinking so much. Like, sometimes I'll watch these shows like MTV Cribs or whatever, and you see people, when you see people smoking or constantly or drinking constantly, these people are trying to cope. They're medicating themselves. You know, they're not happy. A lot of them are not happy. And they're not happy because the industry wasn't built for them to be happy. Because when you're a happy person, right, and you start to have sense of self-worth, and you start to believe in yourself, you don't put up with being treated a way that you don't deserve to be treated. You don't stick around for people that are not adding value in your life, etc., etc. When you're in a place, when you're lower than feeling low, you're not okay, you're just going to do whatever you can do to survive, you know. And that's what I think they thrive off of. And why does this happen? Because then they create incredible things from there, which is great for the business, right? But then they also negatively influence us, because then we got, you know, all these crazy films and music and all this different stuff where we are being exposed to thinking that these lifestyles are good, right? I'm trying to think of a better song than the song I'm thinking right now, but a lot of this stuff is glorified. A lot of the things that are not good for us is glorified. For example, perfect one. This is a perfect one. Blurred Lines. How many people were singing Blurred Lines? You know you want it. Does that sound like somebody who's respecting somebody's consent? No, it absolutely does not. Why do you think they're making music like that? Because they want to normalize that. Because they want to normalize everything that's from the kingdom of darkness. I'm sorry to be broken freaking record, but the truth is the truth, and the truth shall set you free, right? But that's why they're doing it. That's why these types of couples, they're perfect. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. On Johnny's side, He's a mess. He's involved in a lot of satanic things, even with him and Marilyn Manson, who are known to be blood brothers apparently as well, which again, very demonic sounding things. We already know Marilyn Manson's another whole thing, right? He's doing all that. He's a mess himself, but guess what? He's a mess who creates beautiful artwork. So he's the perfect product to be utilized, used, abused, and disposed and used as a tool of destruction in the entertainment industry. You got Amber Heard over here, also obviously talented, doing her thing, you know, beautiful woman, perfect seductress, you know, but then now she's had this whole situation where she's gaslighting him and she's making narcissism look like she's hiding narcissism, and she's making it hard for people to trust victims, because then in 10 years time people won't trust victims as much, and so people who do things are going to get away with it more, and that's what I think they're doing on purpose. And I talked about that in a video that I actually took down because I wanted to make this video first, but they wanted to make this stuff normal so that in 10 years time it's always going to be a he said, she said. It's like, no, well the lines are blurred, the blurred lines. That's what they want us to be thinking. Can you see how that works? So the people involved are being destroyed, and we're also being destroyed. And like I said in my other video, the entertainment industry is just a cover-up anyway for the elites of this world to utilize us as lab rats to find a way for them to live on earth forever, because they don't want to go to hell. That's what this is all about. That's all this is about. And for the enemy to have his own minions, because he wants to be like God, he wants to have people worshipping him. That's why he has these people worshipping him, all these world elites, they worship him, and then he gives them what? Money, power, fame. It's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. Always the same thing. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? That's the same thing that the enemy offered Jesus after Jesus had been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. What did he say? Well, you can do this if you do this. He was basically getting Jesus to say, you submit to me and I will give you the world. Because guess what? This is his kingdom now, because he got kicked out of heaven. So that's how simple it is. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, to say that all it's going to cause is more and more distraction. Johnny, regardless of the situation with Amber, was already not in a good place. She just came in and worsened it, kind of like the Ahab and Jezebel situation. You know what I mean? And brought more to the table and made it and added to the levels of destruction he was experiencing, as well as the world in general, right? She's a mess as well, because she's just out here. She's enjoying it more, at least. And this is the distinction that you find, that I notice, is you'll have the ones who enjoy it, who enjoy being a part of it and enjoy being the Decepticons, and then you have the ones who kind of are just doing it because that's what they do, and because they're broken, and because they feel like there's no hope in the world, you know. And it's very sad. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I am gonna talk more about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I just wanted to address this because I did understand where people are coming from when they said, you know, Johnny isn't an angel, blah blah blah. And I do really hear that. I actually really hear that perspective, and so that's why I made this video, to highlight that as well, but also to just talk about for us to think about the fact that this is all a mess anyway, and it really is all a mess anyway. And that's what I was reminded of when I was reading you guys' comments. So please comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Please also subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. I would love to have you over here on my channel. I've got so many more videos to come up about so many important things, so stay around. Don't forget to like the video as well, because I would really appreciate it. It'll let me know that you enjoyed it, that you liked it and all that. Other than that, guys, I'm always praying for you guys. As I always say, I always share the truth, not because I'm just this crazy spiritual lady, because I genuinely want to make sure I love you guys by telling you the truth, so that you can navigate this crazy evil world correctly, be able to protect you, yourself, your loved ones, be able to make the right decisions as things that are happening. That's how I live on, y'all. God bless every single one of you, even those who don't agree, even those who think I'm crazy, even the haters. God bless all of you, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.